what it's like living with autism?
I live in this wonderful world, and I call my autism my superpower. But for 28 years, I didn't know that I had that superpower. I just felt that I was different and I didn't know where I belonged. And my son was diagnosed before I was. So I entered the autism world as a mum. And then I found out that I too had this superpower. And it made my whole entire life made sense. Every single thing that I accomplished, every single thing that I struggled with, every moment of my life just all of a sudden fell into place, and it supported me to belong in a community.
Amanda, for the people out there watching this who are not on the spectrum, can you sort of describe what it's like for you day to day, what it feels like?
I look at my autism as my superpower. So we call it my sonic hearing. So I hear everything that's going on, and so I can hear all different sounds and everything that maybe neurotypical people don't hear. I sometimes face challenges, especially when out and about in the community, that I can struggle with lighting, and I think a lot of people don't experience the intensifiedness that we experience out in the real world. And sometimes that can be an amazing gift, but sometimes that can also be a challenge that we need to face on a day-to-day thing. So we can go out and we can attempt to be social, and we can go to a coffee shop and having to spend a whole entire moment trying to block out background noise just to focus on that one person, and then go home and absolutely feel utterly exhausted, but we still have to live and function and eat. And I think that's one area that I feel like people don't fully understand, is the aftermath and what happens behind closed doors.
What has been some of the biggest challenges for you?
I think two things. I think one of the biggest challenges out in society. So having to live, I guess, in a neurotypical world, we go out into a shop, and I've got an older son who's nearly 11, who's diagnosed as well, and we went to this shop, and both of us just looked at each other and went, we are not doing this today. And we did 2 rows, and then I said to Jay, look, we need to leave, and he looked at me and said yes, and he laughed. He said, Mum, what's the opposite of autism friendly? And I said, neurotypical friendly. He goes, that's pretty much it. And then we left. I think the other biggest challenge that I've faced is not knowing who my true friends are. I think unfortunately, we live in a society where people can pick out people's weaknesses, and one of my weaknesses, I trust people too easily. And so I'm a former teacher, and some other fellow colleagues used to pick out that I was very gullible, and picked out that was one of my weaknesses, and told me to do something, and I followed through and I did it, and then they reported it to the principal that that's what I did. And I think I'm too trusting, and I like people. I like getting to know people, and I think that's one of my biggest challenges, knowing who to trust and who to get to know.
What has been some of the wonderful things also that you've experienced?
Finding my tribe, meeting people where I can say quite openly that this is how I'm feeling, and they're like, oh my gosh, me too. And I think that's definitely been the most wonderful part of being diagnosed, is finally, first time in my whole entire life, actually fitting in somewhere, and I don't need to mask. I can be myself throughout a whole entire day, and I can actually go to bed at the end of the day not feeling exhausted and tired because I haven't spent my whole entire day having this mask up and pretending to be somebody that I'm not. I get to bring that mask down and actually show the world who I truly am.
Amanda, if the Prime Minister was sitting here right now, what would you say to him about how society can better support people with autism?
I would tell the Prime Minister that we are the future. I think we have so many gifts that we need to bring out into this world, and he would be absolutely stupid to ignore us. And because we, with our passions and with our loves, we have so much to offer this world. I would also warn him too that from the day dot, that I have said that I've given birth to a future Prime Minister. So yes, and my son will be after his job eventually. But I think the other thing too, the Prime Minister needs to realise as well, is that autism is, I guess in a way, a hidden disability. We don't, and I think that's been the issue with NDIS as well, that people don't see, and we struggle with communication, so we're not saying fully on what's happening to us on the inside, and I think there's been a lot of people that have slipped through the radar in terms of support. So therefore they're going to be needing support in other areas with mental health issues and other things that I think they really need to sit back and realise that there's a lot of internal stuff that goes on with autism as well.
Amanda, what would you say to other people out there watching this who are on the spectrum about how they can best help themselves and also help the broader community understand?
I think that question's definitely in two parts. I'm a strong advocate for getting to know thyself, finding out who you are, not hiding behind your interests, not being ashamed of it. Bring that forward, bring that out, because we're all here for a reason. Nobody is put on this earth as a mistake. You are all here to make an impact on the earth, and by finding out about who yourself are, you are going to bring that out into the world and make such a huge impact. And I think autism is such this massive gift that we've been given for a reason, and I want to show the world what that gift is.
And finally, Amanda, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Not this one, but I will think of something better in the second time we do it.
Thank you very